Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Nasser Bilkis Umar with matric number GS62630 from Department of Food Technology, Faculty of Food Science and Technology, University Putra, Malaysia. I'm here to give a presentation on the topic neurotoxicity, that is toxicology of the nervous system. Let me begin with some historical event on neurotoxicity. In 1930s, there is an event called ginger jack syndrome, in which an alcohol beverage was contaminated with TOCP, that is triautocrysyl phosphate, causing paralysis in 5,000 people with 20,000 to 100 people affected. Also in 1950s, there is an event called mercury poisoning, in which methyl mercury in fish, that is in Japan, caused this and severe nervous system damage in infants and adults, which is termed mini-matter disease. What are these central nervous system? This central nervous system, they are comprised of brain and spinal cord. Also, we have peripheral nervous system, which are divided into afferent and efferent. Afferent means sensory nerves, which carry sensory information to the central nervous system, and efferent means motor nerves, which transmit information to the muscles or glands. This central nervous system, they are also comprises of different cells, which are also divided into neurons. These neurons signal integration or generation, that is direct control of skeletal muscles. There is also supporting cells, which are called glial cells, and this comprises of astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, Schwann cells, microglia. Why is the brain particularly vulnerable to injury? Yes, because neurons are post-mitotic cells, high dependence on oxygen, because they are little anaerobic capacity. Brief hypoxia or anodia neuron cells, this. Also, brain, they are highly dependent on glucose, so they need energy from the glycolysis. Brief disruption of blood flow cells also can affect brain function. High metabolic rates, many substances go directly to the brain via inhalation. Blood supply to the brain. Brain requires continuous supply of the blood to function very well. What causes neurotoxicity? There are so many wide ranges that causes neurotoxicity, which include chemical and physical. In terms of chemicals, they include solvents, nicotine, nerve gases, which can be inhaled into the body, and there are some toxicants which can be ingested into our body. For example, lead, alcohol, drugs such as MPTP. Also, there are toxicants which get into our body through skin, For example, pesticides, nicotine, while for the physical, we have loud noise, trauma. They are also a source of toxicants to our body. Types of neurotoxicity. There are many, or almost 3 types of neurotoxicity injury. The injury that are caused in our body through ingestion or inhalation of these toxic compounds. And these are divided into neuronopathy, anexopathy, and transmission. In neuronopathy, you can see that almost the neuron, myelin, and axons are affected, while in azonopathy, you can see that myelin or axon are affected or they are destroyed. And while in transmission, you can see that synapse is affected here. Like I said, the types of neurotoxicity include neuropathy. In these types of toxicity, cells are these, that is irreversible. When these cells are affected, they can no longer be reversed. Cells are not replaced. For example, contamination or toxicity of trimethylene. Another type of neurotoxicity is azonopathy, which are caused by hexane acrylamide physical trauma, and these types of neurotoxicity can be reversible. Another type is myelonopathy, in which damage to myelin, for example, SWAT1 cells, which are caused by lead consumption or inhalation or hexachlorophene. And the last types of neurotoxicity include transmission toxicity, disruption of neurotransmission, toxins, heavy metals, organophosphate, pesticide, DDT, drugs, for example, cocaine, amphetamine, alcohol. They are all sources of transmission toxicity. So these are several types of toxins. For example, natural toxins can be found in snakes, insect, plant toxins. That is another example of toxins from environmental chemicals include heavy metals, industrial solvents, leads, benzene, aromatic hydrocarbons. Also, there are another source of toxins from therapeutic drugs, for example, anesthetic, benzodiazepines, etc. Also, drugs can cause neurotoxicity when they are abused. For example, ketamine, alcohol, inhalants can also cause neurotoxicity in our body. This neurotoxicity can be caused through heavy metals, through leads, through mercury. Here I will take mercury as an example. For instance, environmental source of mercury can be natural degaussing of earth, combustion of fossil fuels, industrial discharges and waste, incineration and crematories, dental amalgams, as well as CF bulbs. Toxicity of mercury. Different chemicals, inorganic, metallic, organic, can be source of mercury toxicity. Organic mercury, for example, methyl mercury is in the form, can be found in fish, bioaccumulate to higher levels. So when we consume, we can be able to be subjected into toxicity of mercury. Brain and nervous system toxicity, which are caused by high fetal exposure, mental retardation, seizures, blindness, low fetal exposure, memory, attention, language disturbances. These are all caused by toxicity of mercury. Here is some mercury consumption limits by United States Environmental Protection Agencies, which they put it at 0.1 microgram per kilogram per day, while United States Food and Drugs Administration put it at 1 ppm, that is milligram per kilogram in tuna. This mercury, it finds its way into our body, which we call it mechanism of mercury toxicity, in which mercury compounds enter into cells or into our cell through plasmic membrane or transport proteins, in which inside the cells they may produce reactive oxygen species, that is ROS, which directly react with DNA or indirectly, in which they induce conformational changes in protein, which are responsible for the formation or maintenance of DNA in our body. Mercury compound also may be able to bind directly to the DNA molecules, forming mercury species DNA adducts. So this is a graphical presentation of mechanism of mercury toxicity. Here is the end of my presentation on neurotoxicity. Thank you for listening. Thank you.